All right, so you're prepping for a tourist information officer interview. Pretty cool, huh? We've got all these RoleCatcher resources ready to go, career guides, interview guides, all that good stuff. So consider this deep dive your cheat sheet for totally acing that interview.
It really comes down to more than just knowing your city's hotspots, though, right? You need to show them you can roll with the punches, whatever a tourist might throw at you.
Yeah, okay, let's break this down. RoleCatcher has this AI that can go through job descriptions and pick out keywords. Can you imagine having a tool that can tailor your resume to hit those exact keywords employers are looking for?
It's really wild. Employers can actually use RoleCatcher to search for candidates based on skills. So by opting in, you're basically making it super easy for them to find you.
Yeah, that's like a recruiter working for you all the time. Now, before we get into the interview questions, let's zoom out for a second. Think about the bigger picture here. Being a tourist information officer, it's more than just a job, right?
Definitely. You can go from that into managing a whole team at a visitor center. RoleCatcher's career guide even talks about becoming a tourism manager, shaping the experience for a whole destination.
Wow, so this could be the start of something really cool. But okay, let's get down to business. Interview questions. We'll walk you through some of the usual suspects, right, from RoleCatcher's database. And don't forget, RoleCatcher also has AI that can give you feedback on practice answers. Almost like having a coach in your pocket.
All right, let's jump in with a classic. Can you tell us about your experience working in the tourism industry?
They probably want more than just a list of your old jobs, right?
You're spot on. It's not just about what you did, but how those experiences made your skills shine. Like, did you calm down a frustrated traveler, help someone find a hidden gem, weave those stories in?
So instead of just saying I worked at a hotel, I could talk about how I helped a guest who lost their luggage find their way around a new city.
Exactly. And be ready for a follow-up. Like, tell me about a time you went above and beyond for a customer.
Got it. Story time is key. What about staying current with what's happening locally?
That's where they'll hit you with something like, how do you stay up to date with current events and tourist attractions in the local area?
I feel like this is them trying to see how passionate I really am about my city.
Exactly. You want to mention blogs you follow, local events you go to? Like, did you see a cool article about a new museum exhibit? Bring that up.
So dropping in details like, oh, and I just heard the Botanical Gardens have a new butterfly exhibit. It looks amazing. Would be a good move.
Absolutely. They might even ask, what's a recent trend you've noticed in tourism? Be ready to wow them with your insights.
All right, trends it is. Let's be real, though. Not every tourist is a happy camper. How do you handle difficult customers or situations?
This is all about empathy and staying cool under pressure. Think about it like a traveler just missed their flight and is freaking out. You wouldn't just point them to the airline counter, right?
No way. I'd help them look for other flights, maybe
Sure.
suggest a cafe where they can chill while they figure things out.
Right. Show them you get where they're coming from and can stay calm. The STAR method is your friend here. Situation, task, action, result.
That's a good tip. And I bet they'll follow up with, tell me about a time you had to resolve a conflict with a customer.
You got it. Have a story ready about how you turned a negative situation into a positive one.
Okay, next up, customer service superpowers. How do I blow them away with my answer to, can you explain your experience with customer service?
Remember, tourism is about hospitality. Highlight those active listening skills, your patience, your knack for creative problem solving. What makes you a customer service rock star?
So it's my chance to show them I really love helping people have amazing experiences.
Exactly. Get ready for a follow-up question like, what do you think are the most important qualities of a tourist information officer?
I can already hear myself saying, passion, empathy, and a knack for finding the perfect hidden gem for every visitor. Now they're going to want to know how I handle all the craziness that comes with this job, right? How do you prioritize tasks and manage your time effectively? That one sounds kind of scary.
Think about it this way. You're juggling phone calls, tourist questions, research requests, and you're helping colleagues all at once. How do you stay organized? To-do lists, color-coded calendars, a good old-fashioned planner maybe?
Oh, I'm all about time blocking. I even used it to plan my last vacation flights, hotels, activities, all perfectly scheduled.
That's a great example. Shows you can handle a lot of moving parts. They might even ask, describe a time when you had to manage multiple competing priorities. Be prepared with a good story.
Got it. Time management check. What's next on our interview question adventure?
Let's talk about thinking on your feet. Can you give an example of a time when you had to think on your feet and make a quick decision? They're looking for that resourcefulness.
It's like those travel shows where something goes wrong and they have to
Wow.
improvise a solution.
Exactly. Have a story ready about how you adapted and came up with a creative solution on the spot, and highlight the positive outcome.
Okay, let me think. Oh, I've got one. Remember that time I was volunteering at a local festival and it started pouring rain? They hadn't planned for rain and everyone was scrambling for cover. I saw these tourists looking totally lost and soaked. So I grabbed some big plastic sheets and helped them make a little shelter under a tree.
That's perfect. You showed initiative and resourcefulness. What happened next?
Well, the tourists were super grateful. We ended up having this impromptu picnic under our little tent. It turned out to be a really cool memory. And it taught me how important it is to be adaptable and think on your feet.
They might even ask, what would you do if a tourist approached you with a very unusual request?
An unusual request. Okay, I'm going to have to think about that one. But I'm up for the challenge.
That's the spirit. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about something that might not be as exciting, but is just as important. Confidentiality.
Yeah, I'm guessing there will be questions about handling sensitive information. It's a big deal in any job, especially one where you're working with the public.
Exactly. They might ask something like, how do you handle confidential or sensitive information?
So it's not just about being discreet, but also about understanding data protection and privacy.
You got it. Mentioning you're familiar with data protection regulations like GDPR can really impress them. It shows you're on top of industry standards and take data privacy seriously.
GDPR, right. That's General Data Protection Regulation. Those rules designed to protect personal data in the European Union.
Exactly. And even though this role might not be directly related to the EU, showing you know about these regulations shows you understand the bigger picture of data privacy.
Okay, so I should emphasize my commitment to discretion, mention my awareness of data protection regulations, and maybe share an example of a time I handled sensitive information carefully.
That's a great plan. You want to show them you can be trusted with confidential information.
Got it. Now let's talk money. I bet there will be some interview questions about budgeting and financial management, even for a tourist information officer role.
You're right. They might not ask you to manage millions of dollars, but they'll want to know you're responsible and resourceful with money.
So even if I haven't managed a huge budget before, I can still talk about times when I tracked expenses, planned events within a budget, or found creative ways to save money.
Exactly. Think about any time, even in personal projects or volunteering, where you showed you're responsible with money. Like that time you organized a fundraiser for a local charity and had to stick to a tight budget.
Oh, that's perfect. I had to plan everything, carefully manage expenses, and stay within our budget. It was tough, but also really rewarding to see what we could do with limited resources.
That's the kind of story that will resonate with them. It shows you can be creative, resourceful, and responsible when it comes to money.
Feeling good about my budget-savvy skills now. We can't forget that tourism is all about connecting with people from all over the world. So I'm guessing there will be questions about cultural diversity and inclusivity.
Absolutely. Being able to work well with diverse groups is essential in tourism. They might ask something like, how do you handle multicultural and diverse groups of people?
This feels like a chance to show off my love for travel and different cultures. I can talk about my experiences traveling abroad, interacting with people from different backgrounds, and even learning a new language.
Those are all great examples. Even if you haven't traveled a ton, you can still talk about how you approach cultural differences with respect and a desire to understand. It's about showing your cultural sensitivity and ability to communicate with people from all walks of life.
Like that time I was working at a local restaurant, and a group of tourists came in who didn't speak much English. I used a translation app on my phone to help them order and make sure they felt welcomed.
That's a great story. You took the initiative to bridge the communication gap and create a positive experience. Those are the kind of stories interviewers love.
I'm feeling really good about this interview prep. We've covered so much already. What's next?
Let's tackle one more question before we wrap up this part of our deep dive. Can you explain your experience with marketing and promotion?
Marketing. I'm guessing they're looking for more than just handing out brochures these days.
For sure. Tourism marketing has evolved. It's all about social media content creation and engaging with potential travelers online.
So even if I haven't had a formal marketing role, I can still talk about times when I created content, managed social media accounts, or even just shared my travel experiences online.
Exactly. Think about any projects or activities where you used your creativity and communication skills to promote something you're passionate about. Like when you started a blog about your travels and shared tips, photos, and stories.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I loved sharing my travel experiences and connecting with other travel lovers online. I learned a lot about creating interesting content and building an online audience.
That's fantastic. You can talk about how you built your blog, created content, and even tracked your results. It shows you get the basics of online marketing and can apply those skills in different situations.
I could also mention the time I helped my friend's small business create a social media presence, and we ran a really successful online campaign.
That's another great example. It shows you're versatile and willing to help others succeed.
Okay, I'm starting to feel like I could market anything, but for now I'm focused on marketing myself as the perfect candidate for this tourist information officer role.
You're well on your way. Remember showing your passion, enthusiasm, and genuine desire to help people have an amazing experience. That's just as important as your skills and experience.
That's great advice. I'm feeling so much more confident about this interview now. We've covered so much, but I know there's still more to explore.
You're right. We've just scratched the surface. Don't worry, we'll dive deeper into more interview prep strategies in the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned. Welcome back to our deep dive on prepping for your tourist information officer interview.
We've already covered a ton, right? From showcasing your customer service skills to thinking on your feet like when a sudden downpour hits a festival.
Yeah, you've got a great story for that one.
Thanks. Now, I know we've focused on how to answer their questions, but what about the questions we ask at the end of the interview?
That's huge. A lot of people forget about that part. Asking good questions shows you're curious, engaged, and really interested in the role.
Okay, but what kind of questions should I even ask? I don't want to sound unprepared, or worse, like I'm bored.
No worries, I've got you covered. A good place to start is with general questions about the day-to-day stuff. RoleCatcher's interview guide has some good examples.
Like, what would a typical day look like? Or what are some of the biggest challenges?
Exactly. You can also ask about growing within the organization.
Like, what are the career paths for someone who excels in this role?
Perfect. It shows you're thinking long-term and you're ambitious. And here's a tip to make your questions even better.
Okay, tell me.
Connect your questions to something specific you learned during the interview. Like if they mentioned a new project, you could ask, how would this role contribute to that project's success?
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
Or if they talked about a challenge they're facing, I could ask, what are you doing to address that challenge? Shows I was listening and thinking critically.
Exactly. And another tip, do your research beforehand. Check out their website, their social media. What are their values, their goals?
Right. I can tailor my questions to show I did my homework. Like if their website mentions sustainability, I could ask, how does the tourism department incorporate sustainable practices?
Brilliant. It shows you're on the same page with their values and you're thinking big picture. Now let's switch gears for a sec. Let's talk about something that can make or break an interview. Nerves.
Ugh, yes. Those pre-interview jitters are the worst. My heart races, my palms get sweaty, it's not pretty.
It's totally normal to feel nervous. The key is to manage those nerves and turn them into confidence.
Okay, spill the beans. How do I turn butterflies into a power pose?
Preparation is key. The more prepared you are, the less likely you are to get thrown off.
That makes sense. So I should review those interview questions, practice my answers, and really research the company and the role.
Exactly. And this is where RoleCatcher's AI feedback tools can be a game changer. Practicing with their AI can help you polish your answers, catch any areas where you might stumble, and boost your confidence.
It's like having a personal interview coach 24/7.
Right. Here's another technique. It might sound weird, but it works. Visualize success.
Visualization. Is this where I picture myself walking in like a boss, nailing every question and getting the job offer right there?
You got it. Close your eyes and imagine yourself feeling calm, confident, prepared. Visualize yourself answering questions, clearly connecting with the interviewers, making a good impression.
I can try that. It sounds a little out there, but if it helps me feel more confident, I'm in.
It's more common than you think. Athletes and performers use visualization all the time.
I guess an interview is kind of like a performance. You're putting yourself out there and hoping to impress the audience.
That's a great way to think about it. Just like a performer, you need to warm up, do some vocal exercises, practice your answers again, or just take some deep breaths.
Deep breaths, check. Okay, I'm feeling more prepared and confident already. What else do we need to cover in this interview prep marathon?
We've talked about what to say, how to handle nerves, but don't forget how you present yourself, both online and in person.
Right. First impressions are everything, especially in tourism where you're representing your city.
Let's start online. Lots of employers will check out your social media before they even call you in for an interview.
Time to get rid of those embarrassing party pics from Instagram.
It's a good idea to check your privacy settings and make sure you're showing a professional side. Think of it as a digital handshake.
And I'm guessing LinkedIn is a must-have these days?
Definitely. LinkedIn is awesome for showcasing your skills, experience, and network in the tourism industry. Make sure your profile's up to date, highlights your relevant stuff, and connects you with the right people.
What if I want to be extra and start creating content on LinkedIn about tourism?
That's a great idea. Sharing articles, insights, or even just your thoughts on industry trends can make you look like a thought leader, and that can catch the eye of potential employers.
Okay, online presence check. What about making a good first impression in person? I know the basics, dress professionally, be on time, make eye contact, all that.
You got it. And remember, a genuine smile and a positive attitude go a long way. Let your passion for tourism shine through, and don't be afraid to show your personality a bit.
So I'm thinking business casual, a confident smile, and a healthy dose of my naturally bubbly self.
That sounds perfect. You've got this. Just take a deep breath, and remember, you've prepared well, you love tourism, and you have a lot to offer.
That's a great pep talk. I'm feeling much more confident now. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I have one more question.
Go for it.
What's the one thing you wish you knew before your first tourism job interview? Any wisdom from the trenches?
That's a great question. I wish I knew that it's okay to not have all the answers. Tourism is always changing, so no one expects you to know everything.
That's good to know. So if I get stumped by a question, it's okay to admit I don't know, but that I'm eager to learn.
Exactly. Being willing to learn and adapt is more important than pretending you know it all. Speaking of learning, I think we've covered a lot here. We talked about questions, nerves, and even online presence.
It feels like we've covered everything. But wait, what about RoleCatcher's AI tools? We talked about resumes and interview practice, but is there anything else they offer?
Oh, yeah. We haven't even talked about RoleCatcher's company insights. It's like having a secret file on the company you're interviewing with.
Okay, now that sounds interesting. Tell me more. What kind of info can I get with these company insights?
Think of it as your one-stop shop for all things company culture, values, news, even employee reviews.
Wow, so I can get a feel for what it's like to work there before I even step foot in the interview room?
That's awesome.
Exactly. You can use it to tailor your answers and questions to fit with the company's mission and values. Like if you see they're big on community engagement, you can highlight your volunteer work or projects where you worked with local groups.
That's a great tip. I'm really starting to see how RoleCatcher's AI and these resources are like having a whole team of career coaches helping me out.
It really is a game changer. But even with all this tech, remember, human connection is still super important.
Right. No amount of AI can replace genuine enthusiasm and a passion for what you do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So go into that interview with a positive attitude, a willingness to learn, and a real desire to be a part of the tourism world. And if you get stuck on a question, don't freak out. Take a breath. Acknowledge that you might not know the answer right now, but show them you're eager to learn and grow in the role.
That's a great reminder. I'm feeling so much more prepared and confident after this deep dive into tourist information officer interviews. I'm glad to hear that, remember, preparation practice and a positive attitude are the keys to success. And with RoleCatcher's amazing AI-powered tools, you've got everything you need to nail that interview.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and good luck to all our listeners who are getting ready for their next big interview.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.